You're meditating peacefully under the canopy of an ancient tree, the golden sun filtering through the leaves, illuminating the ground with a serene glow. The world around you is a symphony of gentle whispers, the rustle of leaves, the distant chirping of birds, perfectly cocooning you in tranquility. Suddenly, thundering footsteps shake this peaceful cocoon, and as you open your eyes, dread washes over you. A massive, drunken elephant is charging straight at you. But here's the shocking twist. The person who sent this rampaging beast isn't an enemy. It's your cousin, Devadatta, the childhood friend who once laughed beside you in the palace halls. His face carries a dangerous mix of bitterness and jealousy while he stands nearby, hidden in the shadows, watching the chaos unfold. Have you ever felt the sting of betrayal from a family member? Ever wondered just how far envy could drive someone who once cherished you? Prepare yourself. This is only the first of 3 attempts. Meet Devadatta, Buddhism's version of Judas, a disciple who turned against his own master. This story, documented across ancient texts such as the Vinaya Pitaka and the Kulavagga, unveils the depth of human jealousy and its consequences. Get ready for a journey marked by 3 assassination attempts, 1 shocking betrayal, and lessons that might change your perspective on toxic relatives forever. Childhood Shadows. Who was Devadatta before the betrayal? He was born into royalty, both him and Siddhartha Gautama, the prince who later became known as the Buddha. They grew up in the palace, both recognized for their talents. Yet while Siddhartha basked in the glow of the prophecy that named him the chosen one, Devadatta remained in the shadows, forever the backup prince. Imagine living in someone else's shadow every day. Devadatta could shoot arrows with deadly precision, wrestle wild animals, and exude a charisma that attracted people. But instead of accolades, he received whisperers that glorified his cousin. The whispers became shouts that celebrated Siddhartha's every achievement, while he remained the other prince, just a footnote in a story where he was supposed to be a hero. Can you picture how damaging that could be? Feeling overshadowed by a sibling, a cousin, or a close friend? Imagine the jealousy bubbling beneath the surface, growing stronger with each moment. Siddhartha blossomed into a spiritual leader, attracting kings, scholars, and countless followers. This burgeoning envy ignited within Devadatta, consuming him with a desperate desire to eliminate the source of his pain. He didn't just want to compete for recognition, he wanted Siddhartha gone, permanently. First attempt, the drunken elephant. Devadatta, seething with jealousy, devised his first murderous plot. He sourced a war elephant named Nalagiri, known for its aggression, a beast already dangerous on its own. But Devadatta had a plan. He approached the handlers, sprinkling fermented rice wine into the elephant's trough until it was stumbling and chaotic. Now was the time. He waited patiently, his heart racing with wild anticipation, while he plotted Siddhartha's demise. Siddhartha, in his serene routine of collecting alms in the narrow streets of Rajagaha, was completely ignorant of the lurking danger. One shuddering morning, as Siddhartha ambled through the streets, surrounded by his followers, Devadatta released Nalagiri. The beast thundered forward, uproariously thundering, unleashing panic through the crowd. People screamed, darting out of the way as this enormous, enraged animal came barreling down the street, tusks gleaming, trunk swinging wildly. What's a loving cousin to do? Buddha stood still, calm. The touch of serenity wrapped around him like a shield as he faced the chaos, radiating pure loving kindness toward the furious creature charging at him. In an improbable moment, something miraculous occurred. Nalagiri slowed, his frantic eyes clearing. He approached Buddha and, against all odds, knelt before him, subdued by the tranquility radiating from Siddhartha. The onlookers gasped, shocked into silence. The once rampaging beast bowed down as Buddha reached out, calmly touching its trunk and speaking soothing words that transcended violence. This was not just a legend. This moment, recorded in the ancient texts, sent ripples of amazement through the crowd. Yet, watching from the shadows, Devadatta felt his frustration turn to rage. Not only had he failed to execute his scheme, but he had inadvertently elevated his cousin's status even further. Second attempt, the boulder. Devadatta was persistent. Furious about his failed plot, he decided to take matters into his own hands. This time, he hiked to Vulture Peak, where Siddhartha often meditated, a sacred sanctuary for the Buddha. Waiting behind the crags, he found a massive boulder, perfectly positioned above where Siddhartha would walk. He set a calculating plan into motion, confident this would succeed where his last plot failed. As Siddhartha ascended the mountain, lost in meditation, blissfully unaware, Devadatta pushed the boulder. Instantly, the rock rolled towards Siddhartha with ominous speed, roaring down the slope. The earth trembled as the boulder gained traction, and in its path, Siddhartha remained still. At the last moment, the boulder collided with another, fracturing cleanly in two. One shard struck Siddhartha's foot, drawing blood. The moment was significant, marking the first and only time he was physically harmed in accordance with the ancient texts. Yet rather than rage or retribution, Siddhartha looked at his injured foot and then up at the place where Devadatta hid. In their eyes locked a mixture of sadness and compassion, transcending anger. Buddha, wounded, completed his ascent calmly, cleaning his foot as he continued on, unaffected by the betrayal. This left Devadatta even more furious. Siddhartha's total lack of retaliation showcased a purity that turned Devadatta's hatred inward, amplifying his bitterness. Third attempt, the assassin. With two failed attempts pushing him to the brink, Devadatta altered his strategy. This time he needed accomplices, recruiting a powerful ally in King Ajatashatru, ruler of one of the most powerful kingdoms in ancient India. Devadatta ardently proposed a partnership. Together, they could destroy Siddhartha. Ajatashatru, consumed by ambition and power, accepted the treacherous alliance. They devised a plan that involved recruiting an assassin known for his poisoned fingernails. One scratch would mean instant death. Trembling with excitement, Devadatta prepared backup assassins, his plotted treachery morphing into a deadly pyramid scheme, intending for Buddha to perish by any means necessary. The first hired gun approached him while he taught his followers, raising his poisoned hand, ready to strike. But, in a moment of pure transformation, as he looked into Buddha's eyes and heard his gentle voice, an inner battle unfolded. Instead of attacking, this professional murderer fell to his knees, overcome by guilt. He confessed everything. Instead of demanding justice or punishing the would-be assassin, Siddhartha offered forgiveness, saying, "Your honesty has saved you. Go in peace." One by one, the backup assassins witnessed this act of compassion and followed suit, approaching Siddhartha, confessing their intentions, and seeking forgiveness. Soon, Devadatta's entire cadre of assassins became devoted disciples of the Buddha. News reached King Ajatashatru, striking panic in his heart as his conspiracy crumbled. Siddhartha extended forgiveness to him as well. No retaliation, no vengeance, just unconditional compassion. This turned Devadatta into a boiling cauldron of jealousy and frustration. Each failed plot led to his cousin's divine portrayal, cementing his own alienation deeper into despair. The fall from grace. Finally, Devadatta realized that Siddhartha was impossible to kill, both physically and ideologically. His plans had crumbled, and he felt an overwhelming sense of desperation. He decided if he couldn't destroy Siddhartha directly, then he would undermine the very teachings that Siddhartha had spread. Devadatta approached Buddha with extremist proposals. He suggested that all monks should live in the forest forever, only eat food that was begged, wear only rags, and abstain from all forms of meat. His notion masqueraded as holiness, the purest form of Buddhism. Buddha, with his calm demeanor, served up his wisdom gently, acknowledging, "These are good suggestions for those who wish to follow them, but they should be optional, not mandatory." In that simple response, Siddhartha deflated Devadatta's power grab. Still, Devadatta had a plan. He secretly began recruiting young monks, convincing them that Buddha had grown too soft with age. He presented himself as a true leader of Buddhism, misleading around 500 young monks who were swayed by his charisma. Siddhartha, witnessing his own cousin leading away his followers, felt profound heartbreak but chose not to engage in conflict. Instead, he continued teaching through his actions, demonstrating what true Buddhism embodied. Weeks passed. The disillusionment set in for Devadatta's followers. Without Siddhartha's loving presence, unsettling aspects of Devadatta's leadership emerged. What was once perceived as strictness morphed into control, compassion faded, and fear blossomed among his young monks. One by one, they returned to Buddha, apologizing, seeking forgiveness, and he welcomed them back, embracing each one without questions. No punishment, no blame, just love. The weight of karma. The realization dawned too late for Devadatta. His attempts to undermine failed spectacularly. Alone and abject, he recognized he had built a life of hatred. According to Buddhist teachings, some actions create anantariya karma, immediate consequences, especially actions directed toward an awakened being, making Devadatta face the repercussions of his violent path. Strange phenomena began enveloping Devadatta. He developed a painful illness, his body falling apart not from sickness, but perhaps from unrelenting hatred that festered within. His skin erupted into painful boils, and he became consumed by feverish nightmares. In those dreams, the very elephants and boulders he had sent against Siddhartha haunted him relentlessly. Horrific supernatural events surrounded him. Flowers withered in his presence, and the ground trembled beneath his footsteps. It felt as though nature itself had turned against him in rebellion. But then, a remarkable thing occurred. Siddhartha heard of his cousin's plight and visited the ailing Devadatta, the man who had laid 3 murderous attempts against his life. As Siddhartha stepped into Devadatta's chamber, his cousin could only panic. He sensed his imminent death and the chance that lay before him. With great effort, Devadatta raised trembling hands, whispering, "I take refuge in Buddha." Siddhartha placed a gentle hand upon his cousin's forehead, recognizing the kernel of truth within Devadatta's lament. "Your recognition of truth creates merit," he whispered. "You are not completely lost." In that moment, as Devadatta exhaled his final breath, he created just enough positive karma to avoid an enormously dreadful rebirth. However, nature had other plans, describing the earth cracking beneath him, thunder roaring, and flames erupting, as if the universe cried out at the wrath Devadatta had invited through his own hatred. Lessons from Devadatta. Buddha's response upon witnessing his cousin's twisted ending was not one of celebration or vindication. Instead, grief enveloped him, a deep sorrow for the child he once knew, the boy with whom he had played games in the palace courtyard. In sharing this pain with his disciples, Buddha articulated profound wisdom. Devadatta taught him compassion through hatred, patience through testing, and forgiveness through betrayal. This age-old saga offers poignant lessons about toxic relationships and family dynamics. 1. Toxic people aren't born. Evil. Devadatta succumbed to the 3 poisons of greed, hatred, and delusion. Consider the toxic individuals in your life. Are they not often fueled by similar motivations, fear, loneliness, or insecurity? 2. Fighting toxicity only expands it. Every time Siddhartha had the opportunity to retaliate, he chose compassion. Ultimately, Devadatta became his own enemy, spiraling into self-destruction without Siddhartha having to lift a finger against him. 3. Enemies as teachers. Buddha viewed Devadatta as a necessary teacher. Those closest to you may offer the most significant lessons on compassion, patience, and wisdom. Redemption exists for everyone. Even Devadatta, in his final moments, recognized the truth of Buddha and found light enough to save himself from dire consequences. No soul is devoid of hope. Control your responses. Ultimately, each of us controls our reactions, just as Buddha could not prevent the assassination attempts, but could choose compassion over vengeance. Remember the Buddha's words, hatred does not cease by hatred, but only by love. They speak volumes about the power of love amidst betrayal. Next time someone betrays your trust, channel the spirit of Buddha and Devadatta. Your response, not their action, determines your path. This story, intertwined with ancient wisdom, resonates with modern struggles and reflects the profound complexity of human nature, allowing us to see that even in our darkest moments, there's potential for growth, understanding, and connection.